In this story, our protagonist, he was bullied by a girl, and to make things worse, he ends up making the worst decision of his life. He takes all her money and invests it by buying cryptocurrencies. And already the next day, the value of these coins collapses and he loses $10,000 that she had lent him. And now that they are going to college, he will have to let her live in his house because he spent all her money. And with that, they start living in the same apartment. And the worst of all is that this girl takes advantage of our hero. I know you understood very well what kind of advantage this is, but he likes another girl who is not that hot one there. And this will end up bringing very embarrassing and funny scenes. I'm sure you will like it, and take the chance to leave some hype in our video to recommend it to more people. The more views it gets, the more chance I have to bring the continuation for you. Without further delay, let's go to the video. Have you ever thought about the girl you hate the most, who bullies you throughout high school? Now in college, you are forced to accept her living in your apartment. This is the story of Jinsu, our protagonist. The story begins with him waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then he turns off his cell phone. He asks himself if by any chance he looks like any other student who has to wake up early every single day. Then he gets really discouraged because he wanted to sleep until later. He says he may even look like a normal boy, but he guarantees there is something about him that is out of the ordinary, and that's when we know what it is about. Jinsu, he lived with a girl. And no guys, this girl was not his girlfriend, on the contrary. And we already see a little of her personality. She starts cursing, telling him to set the alarm only to vibrate mode and not make noise, because otherwise it ends up disturbing her sleep. He gets embarrassed and apologizes. Then she throws the pillow in his face and asks if he lost something, since he was staring at her. Then she tells him not to forget to buy her toy when he is coming back. This Toy Story, guys, happened exactly 2 months ago, when they were still in high school. She bullied him every day and never left the poor guy alone. She even said he couldn't wait to get rid of her, and the protagonist, like a fool, said no, that he didn't mind. And that's why she kept bullying him until one day she ordered him to go buy a snack. The protagonist there, really embarrassed, he answers that he has no money. Then she pulls his hair and asks if he wasn't messing with those cryptocurrencies. Then he should have plenty of money. Jinsu then answers that cryptocurrencies are a risky business, that at the same time he can become a millionaire, he can also lose everything all of a sudden, so it really was something risky. Then she tells him to shut up and quickly buy the snack, and that she will lend him her credit card. He asks himself how she trusts him, since she spent all high school bullying him, but even so he goes to the little market praying to never have to look at her face again as soon as they graduate. But he remembers that she applied to the same college as him, and apparently she did this just to keep teasing. And he even said that no college of that caliber would ever accept a student like her. So it replums Arena Ascension and Haji Bli, Dilish, Kritu Mikren. Then he arrives with the snack, and she said she has good news. This good news, guys, is that she was accepted at the same university as him. Then, she shows her cell phone with the notification, and to his nightmare, that was true. And he finds himself in a dead end. He comes home totally discouraged, because he would still have to see this girl for quite some time. And when he gets there, he sees a note from his mother, saying she will spend the week in Japan. And he even mentions that his mother thinks she solves everything with money, since she left some cash there for him. And he gets sad because he would get the college result precisely today, but his mother preferred to go on this trip. Then he sits in front of his computer and says he will vent all his stress by investing in cryptocurrencies. He sees one of the coins going up and says it would be crazy not to buy. If that coin went up a little more, he would be very rich and he would be recovering all the money he had already invested in those cryptocurrencies. But unfortunately, guys, there wasn't a single cent left for him. He had already spent everything. Then he grabs his wallet to check if he really had nothing left and realizes that the card of that girl Dijong was with him. Then he starts laughing like a madman. And you already know what he is thinking, right, guys? He felt really tempted to use her card to invest in cryptocurrencies. In an act of madness, he decided to lay his hands on his bully's money and use her credit card to buy those cryptocurrencies. But then you must be thinking, did the cryptocurrencies go up in price? No, guys, the cryptocurrencies fell like an anvil and he ended up losing everything. Tan? And as soon as she found out, she beat him up. She was incredulous that he had blown all her money on that crap. And she even said she doesn't care, that he can go ahead and sell his organs to pay the money he owes there. She demands that the protagonist pay with interest and monetary correction, since she had lost about 10 million wons. That money she lost included the rent money for the college apartment, and that's why she couldn't live alone anymore. So you can already imagine, right, guys? The protagonist had to let her live in his apartment. On the moving day, she didn't stop cursing him for even a minute, because she was very nervous, and they had made a deal. He would let her live there. In exchange, she wouldn't tell his parents about that debt he had made. And while he was helping with the move, he let one of her boxes fall and ended up breaking her toy. Then, to help pay this debt, he started working at a convenience store. When he gets there to work, he sees his boss crouched picking up a box, and the protagonist, he gets extremely embarrassed. She starts groaning while making an effort, wondering where did so many things come from that it would be better to put everything on the shelf. The girl's name, guys, is Yasuel, and the protagonist seems to like her, and he quickly runs there, offering to help carry that heavy box. She wipes her sweat-stained face and mentions that he arrived really early. The girl, guys, she is a little older than the protagonist, and he mentions that his day even gets brighter when he sees her. In a cute way, she thanks him for helping. Dongai trees apol, Dongai trees at wanam tour says Armon. While she talks, the protagonist can't stop thinking about how beautiful and different she is from Dejong. Yasuel, she is beautiful, caring, kind, a true goddess, and on top of that, she has a great heart. That's really what he meant, guys. Trust. Then the protagonist stays there all goofy while talking to her, and the scene already cuts to Dejong there with her broken toy. She said that the idiot Jinsu broke exactly the one thing he shouldn't have broken, and that now she is, let's say, thirsty for action, but there's nothing decent in college, no guy there is at her level. Then she tries to fix her toy and says it's time for fun, and when she tries to use her toy it falls apart, because it was broken indeed, there was no way to fix it. Then she gets furious and starts sending messages to the protagonist. While he was working, he realizes his cell phone is ringing, and she curses him in the messages, saying he has to bring a cucumber that she is going to use at home, let's say for dinner, right? He keeps thinking about which dish she would use and if it is what he was thinking. While he reads the message, Yisul appears asking if she is his girlfriend. He desperately says no, that he doesn't have any girlfriend at all, and he makes a point of stressing it, well guys, that he is single, he has no girlfriend. The girl in a very sweet way. She said it's good to know, then says goodbye to him. Trying to disguise, he also says goodbye. Then he realizes that she said it's good to know that he has no girlfriend, and he stays there all hopeful, wondering if she likes him. Meanwhile, his cell phone kept receiving messages. Dejong, she was asking why he wasn't answering, and if by any chance he was in the mood to die, and the pro was only thinking about his coworker. If by any chance she found out that he lives with another girl, it would ruin his plan to date her. Later, Dejong, she was at a college party. She realizes that few guys there seem to be decent. Then she starts analyzing them one by one, until she finds a guy who seems to be nicer. Then she decides to approach him. She asks if she can drink with him and he says yes. And the guy right away falls in love, and she asks what they are talking about and he says it's about one of his friends who is doing a work exchange. And in just a few minutes of conversation, she already realizes that this guy is a jerk. When she gets home furious kicking the door, she asks Jinso where the cucumber is and he doesn't answer. Then she starts screaming. Then we find out what happened at the bar. That guy had said that he wanted to spend the night with her because she seemed to be very easy, and that's why she left dying of anger. The protagonist shows up there and welcomes her awkwardly, and he says he is fixing the bathroom door that was broken. Then she asks if he had bought what she had asked. He says yes, and that it's in the fridge. Then she starts cursing, saying that it will be cold. The girl tells him to stop joking and go into the bathroom and put on headphones so he doesn't hear anything. The pro is inside the bathroom. He stays with the headphones pretending he is listening to something, but he is not listening to anything. The only thing he is hearing is the noises out there. He said that she treats him that way because she doesn't see him as a man, only as a boy. Then he remembers all the times she humiliated him. She made him fetch things at parties, and even the people who were there didn't respect him. And that's why she managed to do those things on the other side of the room without worrying about him, because she really didn't see him as a man. Then a few minutes pass and she doesn't finish. Then he starts to get curious. While she was, let's say, cooking, the cucumber ended up breaking. Then she opens the bathroom door running to curse the protagonist for not getting a decent vegetable. And at that moment she catches him by surprise. Then she gets so scared that she falls to the floor. Then she is speechless, and it seems that now she will have to face the protagonist there as a true man, right? He says she can't go around opening the door like that without knocking. Then she kicks him and throws him out of the apartment. He questions, saying that that apartment is his, while she is extremely furious, saying that she can't believe what she saw. She doesn't want to admit it, guys, but she really was surprised by what she saw, and even shakes her head trying not to think about it. Then she remembers all the times she mistreated him, because she really didn't see him as a real man. Then she realizes that it's because of that fool there that she is impressed. Jinsu, he stays locked outside and it's already almost 12:30 at night, and he has class early tomorrow. Then he said that if at least that bathroom door had been locked, this misunderstanding wouldn't have happened. The girl, she ends up giving in and opens the door and tells him to crawl back inside the apartment before she changes her mind. She said that just because she was a little nice to him, now he thinks she is a joke, and that he is living a good life since he came to college, but that he needs to suffer, since he owes her 10 million, and until he pays that debt he is worth nothing. Then she calls him an insect, and kicks him again. She said that from now on he is forbidden to do that in the apartment. If he does that again, he will rip those parts off and throw them away. A week later, Jinsu, he is sleeping there in the classroom because he was extremely overwhelmed with college, with work, with the projects he was doing. And the professor there at the college wakes him up saying that classes are already over and that he can go home. He apologizes and runs off all sweaty. He mentions that if the professor hadn't woken him up, he would be sleeping until the next day. Then he realizes that it's already getting dark and he won't have time to stop by his house. He would have to go straight to work, since it was already almost 6:30 in the evening. He keeps remembering what his bully said about the prohibition she had made. He mentions that he is really scared of her, so he sends a message asking if she wants him to buy something so when he leaves he will bring it. On the way he runs into her and she looks at him and ignores him, pretending not to know him. Then he says that she does this because she doesn't want anyone there to find out that she is a bully. Then he keeps watching her walking away with her friends and mentions that in college there are two distinct types: the outcasts, who have to work day and night, and the popular ones who are always being invited to parties. And that's exactly why they pretend not to know each other. While he was thinking about that, his phone rings. When he picks it up to see, it's Yustul sending a message. She asks if he is already going to work because she is really bored there at her job, and sends a cute emoji. Then he gets all happy, saying that his life still has a ray of hope, and runs to get to work quickly. Arriving there, she mentions that he came early, so he replies that he came straight from college. She asks if he is okay, because he seems tired. He said he is great and that it must be because of the exam periods that are coming. Then she says that she will have to deal with this kind of problem when she goes back to her studies, and mentions that she wants to keep taking a break. Then we see, guys, that she took a break from college. The protagonist says that she will ace it because she works properly. Then she asks if he meant that the only thing she knows how to do is work at a convenience store. At that moment, the protagonist thinks he already ruined everything and doesn't even know what to say to fix it. But the girl gives a sweet smile and says she is joking with him and asks if he got scared. At that moment, the protagonist already realizes that she is the perfect girl for him, and she starts laughing, saying she knew he would fall for it. Jinsu, he is super in love and wonders if this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship. Comment for us guys, would you like the protagonist to be with her or with his roommate? Comment who you prefer. Then the girl says goodbye and leaves and starts her shift there at work. He said that he is going through a complicated moment, but that one day he hopes things will work out between Yusul and him. Later he brings another vegetable there for his roommate to, let's say, cook, and checks if the vegetable is really good to be prepared. When he arrives, she is holding a tape, and he already gets terrified not knowing what is happening. Then we find out what happened. A day before, she found a new guy, and he seemed to be someone who even knows how to behave. He was handsome, polite, and seemed to be from a good family. Then she decided to go out with him. She was already even commenting that she wouldn't need to cook the cucumber anymore, since that vegetable was just a makeshift. However, what that guy had to offer wasn't much, and she ended up being really disappointed. And she even mentions that the guy fell asleep right after. That's why she remembered the protagonist when she opened the bathroom door. Pane, at first she didn't want to accept much that she was thinking about him. But she couldn't get Jinsu out of her head. Her toy had broken and that vegetable wasn't very good for cooking. And the best option she had was the goofy protagonist. Even without wanting to admit it, she was wanting to be with the protagonist. Then she puts tape on his mouth and ties his hands. Then she uses the protagonist a lot and he can't do anything about it. And the only thing he can do is think about waifu. I'm telling you guys, the guy is really in love. And after a long and very detailed chapter, this scene ends and the next day begins with the protagonist's cell phone ringing at 8 a.m. He rushes to turn off the alarm and quickly looks at his bully to see if she hadn't woken up. But guys, she is sleeping like a rock. She was probably really tired from the night before. The protauda, he looks like a mummy. At the same time, he is incredulous, not believing what happened. He can barely stand. Then he gets dressed and goes to college and leaves her there sleeping. He said he is really tired and that all of that feels like a nightmare. Then he has lunch in the cafeteria, and when leaving, his colleagues call saying they want to have a meeting on the weekend to discuss the group project. He want to halve can. The protagonist still hasn't given up on cryptocurrencies, and he thinks it's one of the only ways to pay his debt. And afraid of going home not knowing what to expect, already with butterflies in his stomach, he stays there for a while preparing himself. And when he arrives, he sees her eating a fried fish while messing with the notebook. She acts indifferent and goes back to eating. The protagonist asks himself if after everything that happened, she is really going to act like that. Then she calls him and he already starts to get worried. She asks him to make some instant noodles for them, and he ends up obeying. Then they eat the noodles. She says she is going to sleep and tells him to turn off the lights and that if by any chance he wakes her up, she will kill him. Then she gives one last warning. If he wants to use his cell phone, he should cover his face with a sheet, since she is a light sleeper. Then she barely lies down and already starts snoring, and he mocks saying that her sleep is as light as an elephant. Called him. Then the protagonist stays there standing still watching her in that position, and his cheeks start turning red. Then he slaps his own face to stay focused. Then he says he is going to take a walk. He leaves his apartment and keeps thinking if by any chance he is the one in the wrong in the story because of the things that happened yesterday. He also remembers the things she said at that time and keeps wondering if she is going to pretend nothing happened. But guys, at that moment he meets Yusol. She was separating the recyclable garbage. She asks why he arrived so early and he gets embarrassed and says he was just walking around aimlessly and ended up stopping there. Then he takes a look at the clock and realizes he really arrived too early. Tom and Wiswaspurat. Then to try to disguise, he says he came to buy something and she asks if he doesn't live far from there. Yeah guys, he really lived quite far, but he ends up disguising and says it's not that far, and he scratches his head embarrassed. Then she welcomes him, treating him like a customer, and she asks if she can help him. Then he gets even more delighted and more in love, saying that she is really very polite and cute. He mentions that she is the only girl he can count on. He hadn't done that on purpose, ending up in that part of town, but he ended up taking advantage and did some shopping. He was really happy to have found her there. Then, his stomach growls and he says he is going to buy something to eat before starting work. The girl had heard his stomach growling and asks if he wants to eat something, and the protagonist says yes. Then she suggests some noodles, saying that it's a new and tasty product, and hands it to him offering, and he says he will try it. Then she celebrates and says she will check him out at the counter. She says bon appetit, and he sits down to eat all in love, and notices that those noodles had a promotional coupon. He says he never won anything from these things, but that the prizes there are good. It was a car, a TV, or a shopping voucher. The protagonist said it would be really good to win a car. If that happened, he would sell the car and use the money to pay his debt. Then he could kick De Jong out of his apartment. Then the protagonist decides to participate, since he has nothing to lose, right? He grabs his cell phone and scans the code that is R. He is taken to a website. Then he presses the little button of the Wheel of Fortune to be able to participate in the draw. And to his surprise, guys, he ended up winning 2 movie tickets. Yusul. Then she shows up all excited saying that he was really lucky to win a prize. The Prots then has the brilliant idea and says that all of that was thanks to her, and asks if she would like to keep the tickets, trying to test the waters there. Guys, Yusul says that it was he who won, but he mentions that he has no one to go with him. Then she says that there is a movie she really wants to watch, and says that they can go together. Yeah, Guys, the prots then has a date scheduled. Will this date go well, huh? Keep watching here to see the outcome of this story. His roommate was drying her hair while asking if he was going somewhere, calling the protagonist a loser. She said that he was annoying her, since he was shaking there like a dog with difficulty pooping. The prots thought, guys, he was really nervous because he had a date scheduled and he was already late. Then he makes up an excuse saying that he has a college meeting and asks if she is also going out, since he doesn't want her to know he has a date. She said yes, that she is going out and that unlike him, she is not a loser who stays locked up at home on the weekend. The fearful protagonist just agrees, saying that she is right. Then she asks if he wants to use the hairdryer and also asks if by any chance there is some little girl in the group, and he says yes. Then she asks if by any chance he thinks that just by combing his hair he is going to impress a girl. He would like to answer in a very confident way, giving a thumbs up and saying that she hit the nail on the head, but the only thing he said was that he wanted to look presentable and scratches his head embarrassed. Then she said that he is very stupid and starts laughing and opens the door to leave. He waits for her to leave. Then he runs out to get ready. He gives his best and ends up with his hair all slicked down and asks if that's how guys do it. On the day they had scheduled the date, she had said it was for them to meet on Saturday at noon. Then he imagines himself arriving there all dressed up with slicked hair and already imagines that she would be wearing something very casual and that she would make fun of him for having come all dressed up. He is afraid that she will think he is a fool for dressing like that, and of finding out that he has never gone out with a woman. Since it was just a movie, he wouldn't need to be all dressed up. Then he gets worried that this scene might actually happen and goes there and washes his hair again so it won't look slicked. He dries it the way he always does, then goes and puts on very casual clothes. Because he changed his outfit at the last minute, he ended up being late. Then he arrives there apologizing. The girl, all sweet and cute, says that the movie hasn't started yet and that he needs to relax. She mentions that he came running and that he must be dying of heat. He tells her to stay calm, that he is fine. And he gets mad because he ended up being even later for having washed his hair again, and that she came all dressed up for the occasion, and he ended up coming with normal clothes. The girl, guys, she was really treating him super well, and the prota, he already starts fantasizing in his head, thinking that he really has great chances with her. He does not stop looking at her transparent white blouse and even mentions that you can see everything. Then she says for them to hurry, or they will miss the beginning of the movie, and they start running to the cinema. While she was running, unintentionally, she ends up hitting her hand on the lower parts of the protagonist, and he feels a lot of pain and she gets embarrassed, apologizing. And he said it's all right. Jinsu remembers when Dijong kicked that spot on purpose, and that time it had hurt much more. They then arrive at the cinema before the movie starts and sit down. Both look at each other and a very romantic vibe happens there, guys. He keeps thinking that if by chance he had arrived earlier, he could have spent even more time with her, since he had thrown away that chance to get closer to the girl, all because he was insecure about his clothing. The movie starts and he says he will pay close attention to enjoy it and think about what he will say to her after the movie ends. He is totally focused, but his concentration is interrupted by the cell phone ringing. The cell phone does not stop ringing and he needs to get up and ends up apologizing. He wonders who would be calling him, since no one usually does that. When he picks up the cell phone, he already knows who it is. Yeah, guys, it had to be Dijong. He answers and she responds brutally, calling him a clown, asking why he took so long to answer. Then she asks where he is, and he does not say it is at the cinema, because he had lied saying that he was doing a college assignment. Then he says he is near home at the avenue crossing, and asks why she wants to know. Pan wan no wan tananshir. She gets happy and laughs, and says it's wonderful to know that, since she is also nearby, and tells them to meet at the subway station at exit 3. Jinso asks why she needs that, and she replies that she needs to use him the same way she did that other day. Guys, some weeks ago. Isul, she stays there asking where the protagonist is, because he still had not come back. He asks if it has to be now, because now it is not possible. Maybe in a couple of hours. Then, the girl gets extremely angry and starts cursing him, saying that he cannot refuse if by chance he thinks he has the right to do anything. Then she keeps cursing him there on the phone, and Jinso does not even know what to answer. She says that he has to do everything she orders, since he owes her a lot of money. Then she said he has 5 minutes to show up there if he does not want to die. Then she hangs up the cell phone in his face. The prota stays there in panic and does not move. 2 hours ago, Dijong, she was with her friends in a restaurant. They had arranged to meet after college, and when the subject of boyfriends came up, her friends kept asking if she was seeing someone. A little embarrassed, Dijong ends up saying yes, because since she was popular, she should have several guys after her, but that was not really the reality. And she was afraid that they would find out she was lying. That's because deep down she was a little in love with Jinsu, and she could not stop thinking about him at any moment. She kept remembering all the time that moment they spent together. And she even gets mad at her friends, saying that they only keep talking nonsense, and that because of that she went back to thinking about that clueless brat. She did not want to admit it, but she was going crazy for him, and ends up quickly saying goodbye to her friends, saying that she has a date, and it was at that time that she called our protagonist, and ended up ruining his time with waifu at the cinema. They go to a hotel downtown, and our hero, he was taking a shower to smell nice for her. And meanwhile, Dijong, she just keeps complaining, saying that he is taking too long and that she is very hungry. As soon as he gets out of the shower, she is already outside waiting and catches him by surprise, pinning him. Right after she already starts taking advantage of the poor guy. His cell phone starts ringing, and it was a message from waifu. He had left her alone at the cinema, and that was quite rude. Tamini Buldalbert show. Tamini Buldalbert clench, take her. She was being very nice to him and Jinsu. He keeps wondering if by chance that girl is in love, or if she is only playing with his feelings, since he was quite a nice guy. He asks her to release his hands because it was hurting a lot, and she ends up letting go. He already grabs the cell phone to be able to reply to the messages. Tomini Buldaba clenches of the messages. Yisol, she was asking why he suddenly left, and he already gets scared, imagining he ruined everything, because no girl would accept what he had done, since it was not a very gentlemanly attitude. He ends up having an idea, and says that he was feeling very sick, and that's why he had to leave, and thought maybe it was the flu. She asks if he didn't think it was better to have told her that, since that ended up making the girl quite worried. Shameless, our hero already starts imagining her all sweet, asking how he was, and even keeps wondering why she is so kind like that. I don't know, huh? Looks like she was interested in something more. The women in this story, they are very opportunistic. She already asks if the pain was serious, and he says he has a little fever, but was feeling a little better. The girl on the other side of the phone, she was quite worried. And Jinsu, he already gets delighted imagining that she is totally into him. Isul, she says she feels bad for leaving him alone there at his house, and offers to go there to take care of the boy. The shameless protagonist says it's okay for her to come. As soon as he finishes his work, he goes to the bathroom to take a shower, and ends up giving his address to that girl. The boy's heart is already racing, and she says she will go to his house around 3 in the afternoon. As soon as the time comes, she goes there finding the place quite strange. And we see that waifu really was worried. And when she arrives at the place indicated there on the GPS, she gets confused asking herself if it was really there. Comfort veterinilids. Pandout forma. He did not know if he should have let her come to his house, because he was confident there since he was with Dejong, and ended up giving the address on impulse, but it was not a good idea for her to have come there. He looks to the side and sees the girl sleeping. She needed to leave so that Yisul could come up, and a few minutes pass there. And Dejong, she finally wakes up and remembers that she had to meet her friends a little later. Tom Ji, she finally wakes up and remembers that she had to meet her friends a little later. She quickly changes clothes and feels that Jinsu is hiding something, and keeps staring at his dumb face. He really was hiding something, since he did not want Dejong to know that he was going to bring a girl to the house. And as soon as Dejong slams the door to leave, he realizes that he needs to get ready as quickly as possible, because Yisul would be coming up to the apartment. Tom Ji, he had to hide the 2 toothbrushes, and also all those cosmetic items, and on top of that he would have to put away her clothes, because if she saw them, that could end up causing a problem. Finally, he takes another hot shower to be able to look like he is sick, and even ends up putting on a mask. At that moment, Yusobio rings the doorbell of his apartment. She was very beautiful, guys, and our prota gets all in love as soon as he sees her. He keeps hoping to pretend that he is feeling bad, so that she believes even more in his story. And the girl, she enters the apartment and is amazed that it is really clean. She did not imagine that a boy living alone would leave the apartment organized. Jinso notices that there is a hair strand on the bed, and he ends up jumping there to try to hide it and keeps pretending that it is because he lost his balance because he is very weak. Seeing that, Yusobio, she gets even more worried about him, and gets very close to check if he has a fever. Since he had gotten under the scalding shower, his head was still hot and she keeps saying that he has a fever. She asks if he has already eaten, and he said no. Pod and more tonic cairn. That's why the girl decides to prepare soup for him, because a sick person cannot stay too long without eating. Yusobio said that with a very cute voice, and he keeps thinking she is amazing, and even imagines that she is hitting on him, but he is not very sure about that. Yusobio turns around and says she will prepare something very nutritious, because she does not want to see him feeling bad. At that moment, the shameless hero there, he cannot stop looking at the girl and his cheeks even turn red. You know very well where he is looking, right? On the other hand, Dejong, she is going out with her friends, but all that seemed too boring, and she can't stop thinking about our hero, deciding to return home earlier. Isolbil, she was preparing a porridge soup, and like a good old shameless guy, he keeps staring at the girl. He keeps saying that she is very beautiful, and the girl puts a lot of effort into the food. And when she finishes, Jinsu tells her that she is a charming angel. He gets embarrassed and the girl gives him the soup, saying that she hopes he gets better after eating. Since he was a little weak, she said she was going to feed him, blowing on the food and giving it to him, telling him to open his mouth, making the little airplane. He thinks it's a little cheesy, but he ends up accepting it and eats a spoonful. However, something ends up ruining the mood. It was his phone ringing. To Jinsu's unhappiness, it was a call from Dejong, and he apologizes, saying that he will answer. She starts complaining non-stop, telling him to leave the food ready, and that she will return earlier from the party because it was not very fun. This makes our poor protagonist nervous, because Yusul could be thinking something strange, since he is talking to a girl on the phone. As soon as he hangs up, Jinsu already starts thinking about what he should do, since Dejong is coming up to the apartment and he is there with Yusul in his room. This could cause a very big problem. That's why he runs to the door to check if it was true. He was really hearing the girl's footsteps and runs back to Yusul, apologizing and saying that he will explain later. The girl doesn't understand anything that is happening and even starts imagining that he is a madman. However, he grabs the girl's hand and drags her far away from there. The only place they could hide was in the closet, and that's exactly where he takes the girl. Dejong, she arrives at the apartment and rings the doorbell. Our Pruk, he realizes that his bully was already there and he needed to hide as quickly as possible. She ends up coming in and looks around the whole apartment, finding it too strange since it was very quiet. She gets mad because he left without giving her any explanation. Meanwhile, our protagonist is inside the closet with Yusul, all cramped in there. Dejong starts cursing our hero, saying that he didn't make food for her. And meanwhile, the girl, all squished, tries to understand what the hell is going on. He ends up moving a little, squeezing her even more. This makes the girl scream and they get desperate, thinking that Dejong will find out they are in there. However, this bully, she didn't hear anything and they remain locked in there. She gestures for him to come closer and ends up asking what is going on. And if he didn't tell the truth, she was going to start screaming. At that, Jinsu already starts calculating what the best possible answer would be. And again he gives a lame excuse, saying that his cousin is spending a few days at his house. And since her parents are conservative, they couldn't know that Jinsu had brought a girl into the room. That makes no sense at all. But Yu Sol seems to believe that little lie, and he feels relieved. Either she was really dumb, or she was really into our hero, because it's impossible to believe that. He ends up sweating a lot, and she says not to worry, because that was normal, since they were locked in there. Dong sees that he had left a bowl of porridge, and keeps cursing, saying that she ordered him to make real food, not that horrible porridge. Then she keeps analyzing and stops to taste it to see if it was really that bad, and ends up concluding that porridge is really horrible. This makes Jinsu really pissed, since that porridge was for him, and was made by his beloved. Now they needed to wait for her to leave or go to sleep, so they could get out of the closet. But that ends up taking a long time to happen, since Dong sits on the bed and stays there ordering food on iFood. They were locked in there and it was very hot, and she, being shameless, keeps teasing our poor hero, Tom. They spend several hours in there until finally the delivery guy arrives to bring a fried chicken meal to the girl. She celebrates, saying that she will put it on Jinsu's account and leave it for him to pay. She eats while watching a TV series, and after that she soon falls asleep. That was the perfect moment for them to escape. Tom. As soon as he gets out of there, our hero's legs were even shaking, since he had been in a bad position and his back was also hurting. And then Suyuev keeps saying that she will give him a massage to relax him. He says it's not necessary, but the girl insists, saying that he was sick and still locked in the closet for more than 3 hours. And all of this was her fault. He keeps denying it, saying it's not necessary, but the girl ends up jumping on him. She says that it's just to relieve the tension, because she felt guilty, since all that happened because of her. In the end, she ends up giving him a massage to relieve his stress. As soon as she finishes, she asks if he is already feeling better, and if his back is no longer hurting. He didn't really know what to think, but his back really was more relieved, and he wasn't even pretending to have a cold anymore. She says goodbye, saying see you later. And at that moment he already deduces that she is in love with him, since she has done all this until now. At that moment, Dejong ends up waking up because of the noise from the door slamming, and she thinks it's Jinsu who had just arrived from the party. He starts pretending, saying that he just arrived. She asks why he didn't answer her other calls where she was asking him to bring decent food, and even starts complaining, saying that she had to spend her own money, and blames him. With that, she starts squeezing poor guy's neck, saying that she will put it on his account to pay, and still keeps calling our hero a loser. He says that she could have eaten porridge, but she keeps cursing, saying that now he will have to make it up to her, since he stressed her a lot with these problems. Since he was stressed and with back pain, he needed a new massage, and says that he will take out all his anger on her and ends up attacking. The next day he goes to the little market where he works, and as soon as he arrives there all happy, he comes across the waifu, who is also smiling a lot at him. Our pro realizes that the girl was wearing a skirt with black stockings, and he thinks that's really cute and keeps saying that she is very beautiful. The girl asks him to help organize some boxes in the stockroom, and he volunteers to help her. Arriving there, he realizes that there are no boxes at all and asks why she called him there. Just by looking at this girl's face, you can already imagine what she wants, right? The girl had even left a sign on the door saying they were closed for a moment. Meanwhile, at college, Dong, she was studying, but she was madly in love with Jinsu. She just didn't want to admit it. She even said that she was going to die of boredom because the classes were very boring. However, she starts thinking about our hero again, and even blushes and feels very hot. She didn't want to admit it, but she was really in love. She just didn't want to say it and even kept fooling herself, saying that she doesn't like him. Her friends ask why she seems so nervous, and she makes an excuse, saying that she is worried about the exams. They call her out and go to a cafe, gossiping about boys. They keep saying that the boys from college are very handsome, but Dejong, she doesn't want to give too much information about who she is going out with, since that could cause indignation among the girls. She was ashamed to talk about Jinsu because he was seen as a failed nerd, but whenever she thought about him, she got nervous and with blushing cheeks. In the end, she decides to meet the boy and gives a little excuse to her friends, saying that she has a date scheduled, and ends up saying goodbye to them. Meanwhile, our hero, he was in the storage room together with waifu and Dejong. She decides to buy an energy drink for him, since lately he seemed to be with little energy, so to speak. She keeps convincing herself, saying that it's not a real gift, but rather she is just doing this to please a roommate. And so she goes back to the apartment, crazy to be able to meet him, since she was very much in love. When she gets there, the poor guy, our hero, was completely worn out. The guy had been completely drained, having all his vital energy sucked out by the selfish women. This makes Dejong a little scared, asking why he looks so exhausted. She starts making some theories about why he looked like a human skeleton. At that moment, she realizes and asks if he is going out with some girl. He asks what she is talking about and says no. However, Dejong, she gets mad and doesn't believe that lie of his. But she didn't want to seem like a crazy jealous one and ends up giving him an energy drink, saying for him to drink it and that way he will feel better. The guy felt like he was being controlled by evil women. And that was basically what was really happening. The women just wanted to take advantage of the goodwill of our hero. They weren't truly interested in who he was. After that, he goes to a forum on the internet to tell about what was happening to him. Jinsu tells his whole story, saying that a girl lives with him because he owes her 10 million, and because of that she treats him as if he were a slave. People don't believe his story, thinking that he is joking there, that he is lying. And to be honest, he recognizes that this story seems quite exaggerated. He looks at the bed and sees that she is sleeping. It doesn't even look like this girl is so evil, like she really is. But the truth is that he was very tired, and in the last 2 weeks he had been completely drained and had no energy left for anything. The next day he had a date scheduled with waifu, and they go to a restaurant. Arriving there, he asks her if she is going to order the famous noodle dish, and that was exactly what she had ordered. She thanks him for paying, and right after they eat, she takes him to a secret room in the restaurant and asks him to be quiet. The poor guy had no rest neither at work nor at the movies, and because of that he came home every day exhausted. He was looking like a zombie, and this makes Zhang angry, saying that she waited for him until late, and since he gave no explanation, she thought he had died. He opens the fridge, and there were some energy drinks, and he wonders what all that was for. Looking to the side, he already knows very well the reason for all this. Comment down below if you guys would like to be in Jinsu's situation, or if you think this is a nightmare. He remembers the time when he had met Zhang, and that was in the first year of high school. She was sweaty because of physical education, and a friend of hers kept saying that Jinsu was looking at her all that time, and that he seemed to be in love. It was at that moment that all the disaster in his life began. If he could go back in time, he wouldn't have kept looking at her. And because of that, Jinsu, he ends up accepting the challenge. Later he realizes that his phone is ringing, and Zhang was sleeping. She wakes up and asks what he was talking about on the phone, who he was talking to. He gives some random excuse, and after she changes to go out, she says that maybe she won't come back today. Outside, she blushes and asks herself why she was so interested in knowing who he was talking to on the phone. And it seemed like she was being jealous, like one of those girlfriends who don't leave the guy in peace. It was becoming very obvious that she liked him, and because of that she ends up walking around the city trying to understand what she was really feeling for Jinsu. If it was love or if she just wanted to use the poor guy, since he owed her 10 million. The girl ends up stopping at that little market where our Pro and Sue work. When she tries to pay with her card to buy some things, she finds out that the limit was cancelled. She knew this was the work of her older brother and ends up calling him. She curses the guy a lot, saying that he is just like their father. The guy had some reasons to cut his sister's allowance, and he says that she has to get a job or a rich guy to support her, since he wasn't able to keep sending her enough money all the time. So he says that he is going to arrange a date for the girl, with a very rich guy he knows. She doesn't take it very well, but ends up agreeing, since she had no other way out. At that moment Jinso, he ends up receiving some messages from waifu, asking if he isn't going to work. Since the guy liked her, he runs out to get to work as quickly as possible, and he gets there 30 minutes before his shift starts. When greeting her, he ends up seeing Zhang, and he gets very confused, because he was seeing Zhang everywhere. Meanwhile, Yusul, she keeps asking if by chance he is in love, since he was staring there looking at her. The girl starts laughing, implying that she was right, that he really was in love with her. But Jinso, he keeps saying no, that it wasn't really like that. Then she ends up inviting him to go to her house tonight, so they can play video games. Jinsu already starts wondering what kind of games she might have, and since he didn't give an answer, she says that if he is not really in the mood, he doesn't need to go. However, he did want to, since he really liked games. As soon as he gets there, he rings the bell and she shows up wearing very pretty clothes. The guy gets all flustered smiling at her, and at that moment he realizes that she might very well not have a video game, and called him there to do another kind of thing. Since she was dressed in a very elegant way, he keeps imagining that she just wants to tease him. He goes in saying that he brought some games in his box, and she already puts her hand on his face saying that he is a silly guy, and that in fact she doesn't have any video game there. Tell me guys, would you like if there was a real video game? He blushes, and at that moment she prepares to kiss him. The long-awaited moment was finally arriving guys. Tell me, he was finally going to kiss her for the first time, and it looks like our hero is going to get the girl he likes. The guy is a true gentleman and ends up picking her up in his arms. He realizes that this is the perfect chance, and the scene already changes and we see Zhang going to a date with a guy that her brother had set up. She didn't really want to go and keeps thinking about making some excuses. However, she had no choice, and ends up agreeing. Arriving there, she sees that the restaurant was a traditional one, and the place was very fancy. She didn't really know what to expect, and when she sees the guy she is completely shocked. He was a very uptight guy and didn't seem very interesting, to not say other things. She decides not to have any premeditated thoughts, and says that she will give the guy a chance. They start talking and he only talks about gym and cars, which ends up leaving her very discouraged. He didn't have any interesting topic, and she keeps thinking of some excuses to leave there as soon as possible. After they eat, he keeps talking only about boring subjects, and even starts talking about fishing and doesn't let her say anything. He wants to talk there all the time. She realizes that even though Jinsu is not the most interesting guy in the world, he was still nicer than most men and ends up giving up, telling the guy that she needs to leave, dumping him. Our hero had fainted, and when he wakes up he was handcuffed. He already starts thinking that Yisol is a lunatic and that she had kidnapped him. The guy asks, who was the one that put those handcuffs on him? The lucky Jinso, he was tied to the bed. And Yisol, she said that it was a surprise to see that he was awake, and even asks if he slept well. He had spent the whole night in that place and sweating cold. He asks what was happening. He did not remember what happened to be in this situation, and even asks if that was a joke and if she would let him leave. The girl says that she was not joking and would only let him leave if he answered some questions. Then Jinso there questions what kind of questions are those. She wanted to know something a little more intimate about him, and even says that she did everything she could to attract the boy. That was because she had an interest in him. Holding his chin, Yusol, she said that she finds him very handsome and asks if by any chance Jinso would like to have a friends with benefits relationship with her. The big guy realized that this girl was looking for someone to play with. It was just another girl putting a collar around his neck. But unlike the first one to whom he owed money, this one here seemed to really like him. Zhang, she was not romantic, and so she had a double personality. At work, she even looked like a little saint. Since he was in love with the blonde girl from the Chan, he ends up agreeing. She hugs the big guy, saying that from now on they will have a very close friendship, if you know what I mean. And to celebrate, she says she will get something for them to drink. You already know what's going to happen here now, right? Later, Dejong, she was in the apartment and the girl's cell phone starts ringing. It was a message from that guy saying that he understood the reason why she had run away from the restaurant and said that that place, it could be a little intimidating, but that he would like to see her again. He was even handsome, but she found him strange and ends up sighing, saying that she could give him one more chance. Patni. At that moment, the girl turns around because she heard a noise at the door. It was Jinsu who had arrived on Sunday very late at night. She got all jealous, asking where he was all this time. Trying to cover up, he said he was at some friend's house studying. At that moment, she told him to kneel and saw that he had a bandage on his neck. The guy, of course, right? He starts trembling, all scared, wondering what she was going to do to him. Dejong, she asks why he had that bandage, and he keeps making an excuse, saying that a mosquito bit him, and since he kept scratching, it ended up causing a wound. However, she was not believing that little story, and said that he was hiding something, trembling with fear. Our hero, he did not know anymore what kind of excuse he was going to give. Then Dejong, she thought he was going out with a girl and asked if that was exactly it, since it wouldn't make sense for him to stay out the whole night. In response, our prota, he swears that he was only studying at his friend's house. That was true. She then lays down on the bed saying that he was a liar, and pretending that she was not caring. She asked if by any chance he was being with some girl. It was not exactly a girlfriend, but it was something similar, he thought. But of course he kept denying, since if he had a girlfriend, she would hit him. Dong, she was acting all strange, much more strange than usual. It was obvious that this girl there was feeling jealous of Jinsu. In response, she said that she doesn't care if he dates, as long as he pays her first. The guy even imagines if it would be worth it to keep lying. At that moment, she said that she could beat him up, but instead she says that he should buy drinks for them. And so she orders him to go and come back in less than 3 minutes. And Jinsu already runs out desperate. That was because he knew that if he took too long, she would hit him. As soon as the boy leaves, she gets worried, because it was way too obvious that she was feeling jealous. Then she thinks, why was she feeling something like that? Normally, she would just beat him up anyway. Besides, she met a guy who was much more manly than our protagonist, and even said that to herself, that she should go out with that guy and not with Jinsu. However, this feeling was confusing her head. Ponda. Right after, he ends up returning, and even says that it only took 2 minutes. She gets embarrassed, thinking that he saw her sulking. And with that, she starts complaining, saying that he took 5 minutes. Later, she poured the drink for them to drink, and they even end up toasting. After drinking, he complains that drinking that on an empty stomach made it stronger. At that moment, she said that it was good to remember the old times. That was because back in high school, she used to force him to buy things for her. The girl even timed him to see if he took less than 3 minutes. The people there who were her friends kept laughing in the poor guy's face. She still had the courage to say that it was good because it forced him to exercise. This girl here is worth nothing, guys, for God's sake. She even asks if he regrets being made into a delivery boy. He had blushed cheeks. It was clear that she was only trying to humiliate him to cover up all the jealousy she was feeling. Then he started thinking if what she was doing was because she likes him. And at that moment, his cell phone rings. It was Isu who was calling, but our protagonist did not hear the sound. She even imagines what he could be doing. She needed him to put out her little fire, if you know what I mean. Talks. So she ended up getting up and started looking for handsome men. The big guy, he had drunk a lot and woke up not knowing what had happened. Dejong, she had taken advantage of him, but Jinsu was not remembering anything. And when he picked up his cell phone, he realized that he had a missed call, and it was precisely from the waifu. She had gone out with a guy, since our hero had not answered her call. And when he called again to know what it was, she said that it was nothing important, she just wanted to see him. With that mischievous little face, your soul, she asks if he recovered the energy from last night, and even asks if he has the strength to meet her tonight. After hanging up, he feels relieved, since she was not angry. He checks the cryptocurrency charts, and sees that it was going up. Dungai, and that would be good, because he could recover all the money. Later, he goes to college and notices that someone was spying on him. It was precisely Dejong. The jealousy was so big that the girl decided she would find out if he was going out with another woman, and so she ended up following him all the way through college. The big guy, he knew that someone was coming right behind, and when he looked in the other direction, she ended up hiding. His luck was that there was nothing suspicious in college. A blonde girl passes by him. It was a friend of Dejong, and she stays there talking with the girl. The guy even laughs in his thoughts, saying that that was embarrassing. She could try as much as she wanted, but she would never find any little girlfriend of his in college. However, he ends up crying, saying that ISU is not even his girlfriend. At that moment, he realized that Dejong, she was using her friend as a shield, just to keep stalking. After he enters college, he goes to a food machine, and there was Dejong in the pursuit. That attitude was already making him irritated. The girl saw that he had disappeared from her sight, and at that moment he appears by her side poking her shoulder. He even asks what she was doing in the cafeteria. Her disguise had fallen apart. And he asks if by any chance she also came to eat, and tries to cover up saying yes. She was really terrible at lying, and even starts stuttering not knowing what to answer. She kept wondering if it was too obvious that she was following him. A friend appears calling her name. He turns around quickly and notices that it was a redhead who used to hang out with them in high school. She said that it had been a long time since I had seen Dejong. And our hero remembers that this girl was a bully who used to annoy him. The redhead said that she had been calling Dejong for quite some time, but she never answered. And after looking at our hero, she seems to try to remember who he was, and ends up remembering that he was the messenger boy. She even asks Dejong if she was dating him. The girl gets all angry, saying that she would never date a loser like him. And the redhead keeps mocking, saying that she must be really desperate to date someone like that guy. This makes Dejong furious, asking if she wanted to get a beating. At that moment, she grabs her friend's arms and starts saying that she needs her company during the afternoon, and already drags Dejong away. In the end, she still says goodbye to our protagonist. He was celebrating this because now he would be free to go to work without her chasing him. Already at the workplace, the big guy he was enjoying a lot. The boss ends up calling him, but the boy doesn't answer because he was, let's say, busy, so the guy goes to the store to check if they were working. He realizes they are in trouble and might be discovered. They were locked inside the storage room, and when the boss opens the door, he realizes there was no one inside. That's because the two managed to escape through the back. At that moment, the two friends were walking downtown and were still joking, saying that they paid very cheap for dinner. They were passing near a bar and kept saying that it would be interesting to get boyfriends there. But Dejong, she wasn't really in the mood, no. Panaminch tan and shildestor. Panaminch tan and shildestor. At that moment, her cell phone rings, and she realizes it was that guy she had gone out with a few days ago. When she answers, the man asks if she was free tonight, and still said that he would like to talk to her. Dejong, she said that she was free, yes, and her friend was listening to everything. Suddenly, the redhead took the girl's cell phone and said that she is Dejong's friend, and that if by chance he had any handsome friend, he should bring him too. She was scheduling the meeting for both of them and Dejong. She manages to get her cell phone back and gets mad at her friend. Putting on a happy face, she said that now both of them have a date with handsome men. It seemed that she hadn't changed at all since high school, says Dejong, so they are at the bar waiting for the boys. As soon as they appear, they start waving. Dejong, she could only think about Jinsong, and the guys they arrive apologizing for being late. That redhead, she was all excited because she found out that they were medical students, and so they start introducing themselves. The redhead says that she is 20 years old and asks if medical students were really that smart. The guys get a little embarrassed and start making excuses, saying that the food at this restaurant was very good. They even order expensive wines, and the redhead proposes a toast. And again, Dejong, she could only think about Jinsong and how he was much more interesting than those guys. Meanwhile, the redhead, she only thought about how cool it was to go out with medical students, since they could be rich. They say that studying was very intense, but they managed to find time to go out with beautiful girls. And anyway, they could spend the whole night studying, if necessary. That one is more materialistic than anything. Unlike Dejong, who was only interested in something else. And I know very well that you know what I'm talking about. That redhead there, who was her friend, she only liked to go out with rich men. One of the guys said he was going to the bathroom, and the blonde guy asks why Dejong abandoned him at the restaurant. That makes the girl all embarrassed, not knowing what to answer. But he said he understood very well that she must have had a good reason for doing that. The redhead asks if by chance they are dating, and the blonde guy says not yet. And realizing that the guy was single, she already starts throwing her charm and asks if he would like to take her to another place. Not even Dejong, who was flirty, did that kind of thing. That leaves her a little surprised. The guy gives an awkward laugh and right after gets serious. He said he was very sorry, but that was not possible, since he liked Dejong. Upon hearing those words, she is paralyzed. And as strange as it seems, she liked hearing that. At that moment, the other friend ends up coming back and asks why everyone is silent, and if by chance they were speaking ill of him. The Tumsat? The redhead said that she was feeling sad and asked if the guy could take her to another place in order to console her. And she even made it clear that it was a place just for two. All excited, the guy said that he would definitely accept that proposal and already leaves with her really fast. Dejong comments that her friend is worth nothing, and before leaving she winks. She couldn't believe what had just happened, and taking advantage of this chance, he asks if she would also like to go to another place and even gets a little embarrassed. With few choices, she ends up accepting. Later, our protagonist told the boss that waifu, she missed work because she was sick. She had to escape through the back doors, and he explains to the girl that the excuse worked. The manager believed she hadn't gone to work. She even sent a message saying that she would like to meet him later. When arriving home, the big guy got sad because he realized that he was only a piece in the hands of those two girls. Tandia mistakon elmid nomen, Tandia to dakar to the wine, Dondi, two rivalries pakdim, she junlisha Mexico, one are emma noferts per dakan. What the pakin was to bow, he also saw that there were a lot of dirty clothes. And if he didn't wash those clothes, Dejong, she would get mad at him. However, the girl was late, since she was supposed to have arrived home much earlier. At that moment, he holds a piece of her clothing and keeps thinking about how beautiful Dejong was. Tandi and Mikum, on the phone she sends a message to someone saying that she was already arriving home, and after hanging up she said that she never felt something like that before. She was feeling her heart warm. At that moment she received a photo. It was her redhead friend who was in a hotel saying that she was going to spend the night with that guy. That makes her say that her friend was very careless. Minutes later, she arrives home looking for the loser. She notices that the clothes hadn't been hung to dry yet, since the clothesline was there without any piece. Then she asks why the hell he didn't do the job right. The guy wasn't answering, and she starts looking for him around the house. And when she opens the bathroom door, she ends up getting really scared. The big guy was there hiding. She asks what he was doing. This is one of the most embarrassing moments of this work. Jinsu, he didn't know where to put his face, and she was surprised by the scene she was seeing. He remembers that he had bought a new lock. He even started installing it so he could lock from the inside, but he forgot to lock this time. And trying to disguise, he said that he wasn't doing anything wrong. Trembling with anger, Donggaib, she asks what he was watching on the phone. It wasn't to do that kind of thing, because he would run out of energy to spend with her. And she even starts screaming if he was really doing what she was thinking. At that moment she asks him to hand over the phone. The guy tries to hide, saying that he wasn't watching any crap. That's because he was looking at a photo of waifu, and at that moment she slaps his cell phone, and it flies away, crashing hard to the ground. When he goes to check his cell phone, the screen had broken. He even starts crying, asking why she did that. In fact, Jinsu, he wasn't even that mad, but he would have to use this to save his skin. Dejong, she was a little embarrassed and said that it will be this idiot's fault, since he was doing things he shouldn't. At that moment, they keep staring at each other. Later they go to sleep, and each one on their mattress. She was dying of jealousy, imagining that he was chatting with some girl. However, all this jealousy was making her look like a hysterical jealous girl. Since she couldn't stop thinking about Jinsu, she even spies on him. Actually, she would like to apologize for breaking his cell phone, but she was too proud. The next day, he goes to work. At the end of the shift, his boss said that he could already go home. The guy was really tired. It was exam week. He didn't stop studying, and the job was still very exhausting. That's why, he wasn't even having time to keep checking the phone. There was a message from Yusul, but before he could read it, the girl ends up arriving and hugging him. A little surprised, our big guy, he asked what she was doing there. She said that she was missing him. That's why she decided to meet him. There was a wine stain on her clothes, but he thought it was better not to say anything. At that moment, she asked if his screen was broken, and accidentally he ended up touching the social media app, and there it was opened a photo of Dejong with her friend. The guy got really scared and closed the app really fast, but it was already too late. Then jealous, she kept asking who that girl was, and he said that she was a schoolmate, and he pressed the app by mistake. However, the blonde girl, she wasn't convinced of that, and started asking several questions. He even says that he wasn't close to that girl, and that they were only doing a college project together. That was a lie. Right guys, since they lived in the same apartment, she got very jealous and said that she wanted to know who she was, but Jinsu assured that they were just distant colleagues. Because she was jealous, he thought that probably she was in love. And trying to disguise, changing the subject, he asked where they would go. That's because it was already too late, and there was no place open. However, she gives a little smile, saying that she had already thought of everything. There was an abandoned house nearby. He thought it would be dangerous to date in a place like that, but she assured him that no one would hear anything, and for that they ended up going up the stairs. When they got to the top of the house, he kept pretending he was innocent, asking what they were going to do. Innocent is the last thing this guy is. And you can already imagine what happened, right? No need to explain. He was in a very stressful week of exams, and his life was based on drinking coffee and studying. It had already been 3 days since he had seen waifu, but for now he had to focus on studying. Dejong. She was strangely in the same places as him all the time, and since he had scheduled the date with waifu on Saturday, he would have to sneak out or shake off Dejong. He was already starting to get worried just thinking about it. All he wanted was for Saturday to arrive quickly. The last exam would be on Friday, and right after that he would be free to enjoy waifu a lot. Saturday had finally arrived, and he was there pretending with Dejong, and saying that he was going out with some friends. She said it was fine, that she didn't mind if he was late. That seemed too good to be true. He even started thinking there was a trap in all this. However, he wasn't going to think too much about it now, so as not to ruin the event. At that moment he receives a notification on his cryptocurrency app. The guy was already worried, but when he looked at the chart he was shocked. The cryptocurrency he had spent Dejong's money on had gone up in value. He would recover all the money he invested, and still make 5,000. At that moment he remembered her bullying him, and that everything he was going through was because he spent her money. Even though this girl was a bully, she got good grades, and the worst of all is that she got into the same college as him. All those bullies ended up going to the same university. And we see that Dejong, she was suspicious of Jinsu. That's why she ran after him, saying that today she would find this girl he was meeting. At that moment she wondered why he was standing in the middle of the street. The guy, he was undecided if he should sell the cryptocurrencies to get the money back. If he did that he would be free from Dejong, and could make things official with waifu. However, he could very well wait to see if he would profit a little more. Never had this cryptocurrency been as high as it was now. He even imagines if he told Dejong, she would tell him to sell as quickly as possible. But instead of profiting 5,000, he could profit much more by keeping those coins. That's why he was undecided whether to sell right away to pay Dejong or try to make more money. However, if the coin dropped in value, he would be screwed. So it was better to sell quickly and get this crazy girl off his back. This left him very indecisive, and at that moment waifu ended up showing up, asking why he was standing in the middle of the street. She wanted to know if something had happened for him to look so worried. And when he looked back, he saw that Dejong was spying, and she already started showing up yelling, asking who that girl was. The atmosphere got very awkward, and everything he least wanted ended up happening. The two girls he was dating met and started arguing in public. The blonde kept telling Jinsu that there was a crazy girl in front of them, and the lucky guy was face to face with the girls who were crazy about him. Yusul comments that she knows her from somewhere, and remembers that she is a crazy customer at the store where she works. Dejong, she gets mad hearing that, and so they start fighting like two dragons. To resolve this matter, they go to the cafe, end up telling the whole story of living together to waifu. It was strange that he had invested the girl's money in cryptocurrencies, and now to make up for it, she would have to live with him in his apartment. Dejong gets mad, because they told her that the two were dating. This left the girl blushing with jealousy. The two said it was as if they were dating, and they said it at the same time. But Dejong, she gets mad, saying that this little blonde has no right to sleep with him. The guy was the luckiest in the universe, and was in this difficult situation. Meanwhile, he wondered if he should sell those cryptocurrencies right away or not. If he sold them, he could get rid of Dejong and ask Yusul to be his girlfriend. At that moment, Dejong slammed the table and said that I was not to meet Jinsu anymore. because he belonged to her, and he would be her toy until he paid the 10,000 he owed. He didn't say anything, just listened. Iseul says that she can't treat him like that. Besides, Jinsu could date whoever he wanted. Very furious, the brunette says she is going to the bathroom, and that they better not run away from her. He even asks Seul what she was doing. That would make the girl even madder. Once there, she tries to calm down. Her suspicions were right all along. He was dating another girl, and she even asks how the hell he managed to get a woman like that. After coming back, she asks why his face was red. Her suspicion was that they were doing something behind her back. She still pretends she was a sweet and delicate girl. Tom and be Tomming more. The guy realized she was just trying to seduce her and still disguise, saying that they weren't doing anything. In fact, Yisul was messing with him under the table, and Dishang, she started suspecting it. However, she didn't want to look like a jealous freak, and kept pretending she was cute. And there was the guy in front of the two beautiful girls who were in love with him. Tom and Dishang. Tom and all of Yisul once of Theitas, and be only telegy on Tong and Emma. At that moment, Dishang, she said she was forbidding them from going out together. That's because he owed her 10,000 and he agreed that he would obey her. The little blonde just kept laughing and agreed, saying she wouldn't go out with him anymore. She even guaranteed she would respect it, saying that Jinso belonged only to her. Tom and Dishang belonged her spectrskans. Sweating cold, the guy, he asks what the hell she is saying, and still says goodbye, saying he won't interfere in their relationship anymore. Dishang thinks this was easier than she imagined, and keeps calling Jinso to leave with her, because they had many things to do in the apartment. He didn't want to go and kept pretending. Tom and Dishang belong. He even said that she could go home first, because he would have another cup of coffee, and used all his effort there to seem as natural as possible. In response, she said he should go home soon and not stop anywhere else. So Dishang, she leaves, and he stays in the cafe. When he grabs his phone, he realizes he had a message from waifu. She said that now they would have to meet in secret, and sent a message telling him to come to her house. He saw this message early in the morning, and when he was leaving, Dishang asked where he was going. That's because she was doubting that he would plot something against her so early. And so he disguised it, saying that he was going to the market. Putting on his shirt, she said she would go with him. Since yesterday, Dishang hadn't left the guy's side for even a second. Now they were shopping together and even looked like a couple. She kept showing some items, saying it would be very delicious if he cooked that for her. Besides, he seemed to be a master chef when cooking. The guy was dying of embarrassment, because people might think they were dating. His phone was vibrating in his pocket, and he imagined it was messages from Yisol asking if he wasn't coming soon. Dishang, she also answered the phone, and it was that blonde guy who liked her. The guy was asking her out, and she agreed. At that moment, she tells Jinso that she would go out for a while, and that he should go home soon with the groceries. She could go out with other guys, but meanwhile our guy was forbidden. Look here, you brat. The guy agreed just so she would leave quickly, and after paying, he asked for the groceries to be delivered to his house, and already ran as fast as he could to waifu's house to meet her. He got there very quickly, and was even out of breath. When he opened the door, the girl said she missed him a lot, and started being playful, asking why he didn't want to see her. The guy said it wasn't like that at all, and immediately hugged her and gave her a big kiss. Our hero there was very much in love. Hours later, while he was in the bathroom, he noticed the girl's phone was ringing. He didn't want to spy, but he got curious and realized it was a call from a man, and when he picked up the phone, he was very surprised. Meanwhile, at the restaurant, Dong guy, she was meeting that blonde guy. She even thought he was very handsome, but they didn't have chemistry. She was even a little awkward, feeling guilty. While they talked, she could only think about our hero and pretending she thought the guy's jokes were funny. She told herself that she really missed that stupid idiot. And so we finished this part. I finally found this story after so long. It's one of the most watched stories here on the channel. So if you want me to bring part 4, leave a comment for us. I'll recommend 2 similar romance stories that I'm sure you'll like. Go watch them, it'll be really worth it, I guarantee. Also, don't forget to leave a hype to help the video. Other than that, that's it. Thanks and see you later, guys.